Welcome to A Reader's Paradise for book lovers, audiobook listeners, writers, and for everyone who loves a great story. Well, hello, and welcome back for Season 2 of A Reader's Paradise. I am so incredibly excited because this season I have so much content planned for you that I hope you enjoy. I have things like book reviews coming up, author interviews coming up, a few writing tips for those of you who like to try your hand at writing, and of course, performances of great literature and stories. Well, with that being said, let me tell you, for this episode, I have something very, very special. I've had the honor and the pleasure of being selected to be the voiceover narrator for a wonderful book called When God Gives Us Spring by author Audrey out of Canada. Now, the book takes place during the antebellum period in the American South, and the book follows a young man from the time he is a little boy all the way up into his mid-60s. And so it is a wonderful, wonderful story. It's out now and available for download on Amazon and wherever books are sold. So, with that being said, I would like to share with you an excerpt from the novel When God Gives Us Spring by Audrey Austin. Before we begin, a little bit of a setup here. We are traveling back in time. We're going back to the late 1800s. So, and we are going to war. So, with that being said, let's take a deep breath. Now, let's travel back in time.
I signed up at the first Union headquarters I came to in the state of Michigan. I said my farewell to Tom Morrison and asked him to keep a friendly eye on Lucinda until I returned home once again. I became a soldier in an all-black battalion. All black, that is, but our captain, who was a blond man from Detroit. I also said goodbye to my civilian clothes and hello to the blue of the Union Army uniform. They asked me lots of questions before they welcomed me into the Union Army. They asked me my age. 39, I said. The man didn't even look up, didn't even question, didn't even seem to care. He stamped the form and made me a Union soldier. With my outfit, I fought hard throughout the South. It wasn't until after September 1862 and the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation that many more free blacks signed up for duty. The way it was explained to me, this Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order issued by the United States President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863. He used his war powers and proclaimed the freedom of 3.1 million of America's 4 million slaves. I heard this proclamation immediately freed 50,000 slaves, and nearly all of the rest were freed as our Union armies advanced. These ex-slaves, including me, were called freedmen, but we were never made citizens of the United States. That never did bother me too much anyway. I knew that once the Civil War was over, I would be on my way home to Canada. In May of 1864, when I was at the age of 62, the Union Army came under the leadership of a fellow named Ulysses S. Grant. We clashed against Confederate General Lee in the wilderness. Lots of men around me were being killed. I prayed a lot to sweet Jesus and stayed alive to fight another day. In 1865, I was with my black battalion and we were in the state of Virginia. That's when I did something I never thought I would do. Battle ensued. Men dropped around me while others advanced. I dropped down too. Yes, I pretended I was hit. I acted as if I was dead. I was quiet. I was still. My battalion carried on without me. I was 63 years old, and that's when I decided to finally do something I'd been thinking about doing ever since I first signed up in 1862. After taking off and burying my Union jacket, I made my way to Massa Alfred's plantation. I was surprised to see that the Union Army had not been here, at least not yet. Everything looked much the same as it had when I was my master's house slave and sex slave. From my distant vantage point, I saw the big house up on the hill, the big white house with the tall white pillars reaching up to heaven. From where I stood, I could not see the slave shacks down the hill in back of the house. That's where I was heading. When I finally did reach the slave shacks and looked up to the big white house on top of the hill, I hesitated, but only for a second. Was I doing the right thing? Yes, my heart decided. I knew what I must do. It was quiet there outside the shacks. I wondered if they had all run away. But then I realized it was early in the day, and no doubt they were all out working in the cotton fields. I raised my eyes and I looked up to the top of the hill. I saw no signs of life up there either, and I began my trek up the hill. The back door of the big white house was unlocked. I let myself in and looked around for Leona. I didn't see her or Wilbur, and though I thought that was odd, it didn't keep me from my goal. I walked from the kitchen at the back of the house through the dining room, the drawing room, and then made my way to the library. Master Alfred was not at home, unless, of course, he was upstairs in his bedroom. I removed my shoes, and, in as quiet a manner as I could manage, I began my climb up the stairway. My back hugged the wall in the upstairs corridor as I made my way slowly to his bedroom door. Once I was out the door, I didn't hesitate. I grabbed the knob, I turned it, and I pushed the door open before me. That's when I saw him.
Wasn't that just a wonderfully delicious story? I know many of you are wondering, well, what happened next? What happened when he pushed the door open and found the man that he was looking for? I know many of you are like, wait, why is the story stopping now? Well, I know that you want to find out what happens, and I know that this is an exciting and intriguing story that you want to find out more about. So you can find out what happens right now. Just hop on over to Amazon.com and download Audrey Austin's When God Gives Us Spring. You can download this book and this audiobook and have it in like 10 seconds. Go ahead, do it right now. The price is really, really reasonable. Well, I have enjoyed bringing you the first episode of Season 2 of A Reader's Paradise. I so look forward to giving you and bringing you so much more exciting content, exciting stories, and author interviews in Season 2. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. But you don't have to take my word for it. Bye-bye, everybody.